Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Bricks King podcast, where I'm going to bend your ear about Lego, review those amazing bricks of plastic, and discuss what is new and up and coming around the Lego world. I'm your minifig host, Matt. Let's build on it. Welcome in, everybody. How are we doing today? Hopefully you are doing quite well. I am doing lovely. Few days yet before we head on out to Brick World Chicago, and I'll share that information with you at the end. Again, for those of you that still haven't gotten your tickets, that are still planning on attending. However, if you can't tell by now, we do have a new set we're going to discuss today, and it is the new Disney's Icons, Villains Icon set, which, believe it or not, when it was sent to me and popped up in my, DHL guy, I was like, what is this? I rarely receive Disney things, so nevertheless, we still have to talk about it, and it's a very nostalgic build behind it. And of course, as any of you have built any of this guy's sets, you know how incredibly detailed and some of the really fun, different kind of techniques that he manages to weasel into his builds. And I'm talking about Marcos Bessa. And Marcos was the one that did the Harry Potter Hogwarts icons, I think is what the set name was. So a lot of stuff that he has done since then, obviously. But this cannot be beat. This is a whole different kind of idea behind it, and I'll explain why. Anyway, so the set number is 43227. It has 1,540 pieces. It's actually pretty small if you think about what all is really here, the amount of build and stuff. It retails for $130 here in the United States and 140 euros. So we have a few different things here. It does come with a few minifigs, and all of the minifigs can actually be tucked away, which is really cool. But we have an apple. We have a VHS tape of the Little Mermaid. We have a watch here. Oops. My VHS is coming loose. We have a playing card here. We have a Beauty and the Beast book. Beauty and the Beast book. Yes, I think I said that right the first time. And then we have a Sleeping Beauty. I think this is supposed to be a book, maybe not a VHS case. And then we have the Aladdin on the bottom. So stuff that you would see sitting on a shelf, stacked up. And that's essentially what the build is going through. That is essentially what they are trying to accomplish. So the first thing that we have to do here is we have to talk about the Sleeping Beauty apple. The apple is all red. Now, you're probably, when you build this, you're probably going to think to yourself, well, it's kind of weird. It feels like it's missing a piece or something like that. This side's a little higher than the other. It's intentionally done that way. So the apple is mainly red, and then you have some lime green sections here. You do have some big chunky plastic here, so that definitely adjust price a little bit, and you'll see. Anyway, so the one side is a bit fatter than the other, but you have this nice lime green that is supposed to be the poison, I guess, that is leaking down here. And then you actually have a leaf here that is on a hinge that can be moved out of the way. And on the one half of this, you can take a section off, and it leaves you this little kind of casket, this little coffin of your... I can't get her out right now. There we go. I got to shake it out a little bit. Your evil witch with her apple here. Now, she does have a little bit of printing on here. She has her hair that is hanging down that is printed on the front of her torso. And then she has some bluish colored printing of the lines that are supposed to be in her garment that she is wearing. On her head, she has her little kind of, her little hair hat. I don't want to even say hair hat. I need to stop watching Seinfeld before I record. She's got her little covering that covers up her face, her hoodie, if you will, her evil kind of, it shows her evil face because she's an evil human. Anyway, she has two faces here. She has one where she is kind of happily, I'm about to do something very bad. Ha ha ha. And then the other one where she's kind of almost confused, angry at the same time. they did a really good job of getting the rough texture of her face, showing her age, showing how evil she can be. I really like the way that that was done. And then she also comes with the red apple. So you just tuck her away in there, and her apple can go in there as well. And you just got to make sure that you get the apple in there first, and then everything is fine. Alrighty. So then all you have to do after that is you just tuck that puppy back away, and you are done. That is probably one of the big selling points to me, is having the ability to put that away, like put the minifig away. Because with the icon stuff or anything like that, there's certain things where you're like, where in the heck am I going to put my minifigs? Well, I have a place for all my minifigs so that they don't get lost. And I like the conscious effort there that was put forth to be able to do that with these 4 minifigs. So the next one that we have here, we've got the little playing card here. You have a minifig style jester here for the Queen of Hearts, the Queen, obviously. And that is a big old printed tile here in the center. It is a 6x6. And then we have these are 2x6 tiles that are on the top and the bottom. They're identical. They just have the Q and the heart. Just a simple little buildup of a frame underneath of that. Nothing really wild and crazy. Then we have our pocket watch here. And I love this pocket watch. I think this is so cool. This comes from Peter Pan. It fits in your hand perfectly. I don't even have big hands, and this is perfect for me. It's a nice little build, a lot of gold around it. And I think you would be pleasantly surprised to see how they managed to get what's the word I'm looking for? I guess, the texture, the roundness of it. Really accomplishing something like that is not the easiest thing to do when you're working with square bricks, right? It is just not the easiest thing to do. And they just did a really good job using some hinge little pieces here, clips and hinges into place. The inside of this build is really neat in the way that it is done. It is studs on the side type stuff, but it's minimal pieces. And that's what really blows my mind. So this does have a little loop on it, a little keychain type thing that you can hang if you want to hang it. The face of the clock is printed. It has your Peter Pan characters here. I really love the way that is done with that iridescence color that they have. And then Roman numerals for the time. And you can actually move the arms of the pocket watch, which is nice. On the back, one of the favorite things that I didn't realize initially after I had built it until I had gone back through and looked at it a few times. On the very back of this thing, they have Hook's arm. They have, well, I guess part of his arm where it goes from the red to the white, like the cuff of the sleeve that he has, and then his silver hook that is on the back here. It's really cool how they did that. I'm a big fan of the way that was done. So I'm going to pop off the VHS cassette here, and it is only held on by 2 little ball joints that you can attach it, and then it leans over. It allows it enough ability to be able to lean over so it looks like it's leaning against the books. This, if you were a child of the VHS era, if you were around at probably the best time ever. I mean, it was arguably one of the best moments as far as movies went. I'm not saying movies now aren't the same. It just has a different vibe to it. Anyway, so on the inside, okay, let me get to this. So this, I don't have any VHS around. This feels pretty darn close to the actual size. It is definitely a little bit smaller, but it gives you the feel. It is a little heavier than what the original is, but it's not the end of the world, I guess. But the cool thing about it is this is the Little Mermaid, by the way. You have the tile that is here that says Disney Little Mermaid, with your villain in here. It says VHS 1989 on it, which is neat. That is a sticker, which kind of sucks because it's a big old sticker. But in the center or on each sides of the sticker, you have clear windows, and you have some just buildup of some tiling and stuff here. But it's meant to look like the movie has been wound. When you rewind it, the one side is fatter than the other. The other roll is skinnier because the film is on the other side. So this movie has definitely been played through just a little bit. Not a whole lot. I would say it's probably I think it's like an hour and a half movie, maybe even 80 minutes. I would say it's probably, maybe 15 minutes in based on the rollage on the other side. So that is kind of neat. Now, the other thing is with VHS, and you might be able to, if you can hear that sound should give you an idea of what is going on here. Like that should be a full-on nostalgia sound. And the way that is they just have some loose plates that are in here in the back where the little spokes were on the round wheels to be able to, when you put it into your VHS player, we used to call it a VCR. I think is it still called a VCR? Anyway, I think it was right. And so every time that you took your VHS out and you kind of moved it around, you could hear those shaking and stuff. It's just a nostalgic feeling there. And then up above that in the center on the back, there is what is supposed to be a little notch switch there. And there was if I remember this correctly, there was a way you could record over a VHS or not. And I think if I'm remembering correctly, if you flip that notch, that switch one direction or the other, it either locked it from being recorded over or it allowed it to be recorded over. But I'm not 100% sure. I'm pretty certain though. So then moving up to the top of this thing, on a VHS, you could open the top and you could expose the film. Like I don't know how it played on the inside. Maybe that's part of it. But you move the tab out of the front and it folds the whole way down, believe it or not here, which I know it didn't in the original, like in the actual VHS, that would be bad news. So it does open, and then you have an opportunity to look at some tiles that are in here. There's some 2x6 tiles, and they just have scenes from The Little Mermaid on them. They are stickers. I know, but it's in the Lego version of the Little Mermaid. So that is kind of neat. You have your main characters and stuff like that. And it basically just kind of main scenes. So I like it. It's kind of cool. I think it's kind of unique in its own right. So you have that, probably my favorite build of this whole thing for nostalgic reasons. Anyway, so let's move on to the next one. All right. So the next one that we're going to talk about is Sleeping Beauty. And we have the book here is what this is supposed to be. It's a book that stands upright. And it's mainly done in purple. You can hear some stuff shaking around in here, and I'll talk about that. Actually, we should probably get this out of the way now. I'll just take it out of there, and we'll talk about it in a second. Anyway, so on the front of the book, you have a purple outline, and then you have the Maleficent. You have her made up in tiles here on the front, and there's a little scepter that has some kind of glowy bits around the top of it. That is the only thing that actually sticks out, is the scepter. And then that allows you to open a door for her casket for her minifig, which we'll talk about in a second. On the bottom half, you have some more tiling and stuff. And then you have this big giant sign that says Disney Sleeping Beauty. This is printed. It's huge. It's a huge tile. It's rounded on the ends. Anyway, so big tile there, really nicely done on the printing. Big fan of that. Then let's move to the spine of the book. On the spine of the book at the top, you have another tile here, another 2x4. This one is the Disney 100 logo. Then we have the Disney Sleeping Beauty on the spine yet again. These are stickers, unfortunately. And then we get to Maleficent in Lego form. This is a sticker as well on a 4x4 tile. So we have that. Now on the back side of the book, you have a lot of hollow space in here because it doesn't really need to have anything. There are one of the coolest things I have ever seen was this little tray. From the underside of this tray, this casket, whatever you want to call it, that she is laying inside of the book. When you initially put this thing in, it's basically floating. There's really nothing holding it in. All that they are using here is they are simply using a 1x1 round plate that has that little nipple, that little tiny bar that sticks up out of it ever so slightly. And all they're doing is attaching that into the side of an open hold stud. There are 4 of them. That is the only thing holding that in, because it's not like it has to be super rigid. There's not a lot of weight or anything like that. But my goodness, that is super cool. One of the other things that I really enjoyed about this was with both of the books was how they were able to get, kind of like the line in the book. Like, okay, this is, if you've ever read a book for a very long time and you kind of leave it open, like leave the book open and you come back to it, it kind of has this little part between the pages of where things are at. So that they have that going on here. So your minifig that you have here from Maleficent, she's got two little, or not two, I'm sorry. She has one. I keep thinking it was two. I only put one on, but it is only one. Her cloth, her cape, little thing that she's got going on up around her neck. She's got her standard minifig Maleficent headpiece. And then she has one simple face that is, I guess it's supposed to be white. It's really hard to do white on black. Like on a black minifig head, it's really hard to do it really, really well. But it came across pretty good. She's wearing dress legs as well. And she's got some colorful printing that is coming down the front and very minimal on the back of her torso. She also comes with a more minifig version appropriate scepter that fits, her size, but actually it's probably a little bit too long. So you can put those in there and it's done. Now, this is the only book that comes apart from the other two books. It is attached by a few Technic pins and a few Technic axles, but that is the only one that can come apart. The other two are built together. The way they're assembled, they kind of, latch everything together. And you need that at some point to help give some rigidity and sturdiness to the build, because you don't want to build all these things, stack them up and only have them be stacked up by something, this or that, and then things fall apart. So I get that. So the next one that we have is Aladdin. Aladdin is the only book or item that is facing, or that is on the very bottom, not facing on the bottom, but it is on the bottom. If you open it underneath, you can look and you just see a whole bunch of empty nothingness space. But the way that they attached things here was really, really neat. They used a lot of clips and bars to be able to attach different sections of the book together in different micro section builds. It's really, really cool in the way that was done. So the book on the spine, same Disney tile that we have. We have Disney Aladdin in a tile here, but it is a sticker. And then we have Jafar in his fiery, flamey minifig form. And that is a sticker as well, unfortunately. So the book itself is made up of magenta and white. It has that same creasing that is in the middle as the other book that we just talked about. And then it also has a spot for your Jafar minifig, which we'll get to in a second. There are two little ball joints, the balls that are sticking up here that attach to the opposite end for the VHS. That is where those will go. But just as we saw on the front of the Maleficent Sleeping Beauty book with Maleficent, we have your tiling and different color variations here so that you can have, so that you can have Jafar in the cover of the book, like on the cover of the book, with the tiling and the different colors and stuff. So that is really nicely done. Then there is a simple door that you can open. You can get to your Jafar minifig, and he is in his red red genie form here with it's a gunmetal gray lamp actually. So I like this. Of course, the muscling tone on his chest and stuff, his abdominal region. He also has his the shackles that come with his wrists. And then his hair is kind of standard hair there. And he only has the one face where he's actually kind of smiling, where he wanted to control the world, I guess, before he realized his world was about to end. 10,000 years, whatever Genie said. I can't remember. All right. So the last book is literally Beauty and the Beast. And I love the way that this book is done for two different reasons. So the book stands upright. It is attached to the Aladdin book as well, like I said, with the framing on the inside so that it cannot be removed. But on the spine of this thing, by the way, this book is much fatter, but it's a shorter book. Like it's not as long as the others. It's not as tall as the others, but it's still really nicely done. On the spine of this thing, you have a much fatter spine, and you have three stickers here. One that says Disney Beauty and the Beast, and then you have the rose sticker that is at the bottom and the mirror that is above on the top, which if you're familiar with Disney and Beauty and the Beast, then you already know what those are about. The book is made up of just a brown color the entire way around. You do have some tan here that is used for the pages. It does not have any kind of, like the other ones had that little gap in between. We don't have that here with this. But at the very bottom of the spine, you have what is almost looks like this little weird handle. It sure is. So that is how you get access to your baddie. I guess could we call him an antagonist in the movie? Is that his role? And who I'm referring to is Gaston. So we have Gaston here. I don't really think this is a great representation of his face. I think there is something missing, but we'll talk about it in a second. Anyway, so he's got his gloved hands on. He's got his guns hanging out of his arms there, his big bustly biceps. And then he's got his legs with his boots that are, okay, it's fine. Printing was a little off on this one on the back for me. We actually got a little bit of a leakage print around the back for part of his pants. His torso, though, I really like the way the torso is done. The printing there is really good. Obviously, getting that flesh tone color on red is almost impossible to do, but it could have been worse. So he's got his standard hair that he's got going on for Gaston, obviously. But his face, he's got two different faces. He's got the one where he's got his corny smile where he's, all about Belle. And then he's got his other one where he's almost perplexed. I don't really quite understand that one, but I just feel like there's something missing from it. Anyway, so you pop him back into his little casket, slide him in, and he's done. Now there's the last thing, and I love about this set is in the movie, you have the rose that is under glass. There's no mention of it here at all other than that sticker until the top of the book. If you press the top of the book opposite the spine, the rose and the stand open up. It flips up from inside the book and voila, there you go. You have your rose under glass. It's gorgeous. I love the way that it is done. And it's got a little orange heart there as well. I am a big fan of the way that was done. It's not anything that you would think, oh, that is super difficult to do, but it was exciting. It was just different. I'm like, okay, what else can we have from the movie? Well, there you go. That's what you have from the movie. So I'm a big fan of the way that turned out. So here's the other thing that I wanted to share with you. Prior to recording this episode, I already know there's 4 minifigs. I know there's one in the Apple. I know Maleficent has one. I know Jafar has one. And I know Beauty and the Beast has one. Or Gaston, I should say. But I knew where they all were, kind of. Okay, I shouldn't say that. I knew where the one in the Apple was. I just couldn't remember which side it was. I pulled off the wrong side. It was actually on the other side to be able to get to it. Okay, found it. Then Maleficent. The door to be able to get to that one is really, really difficult to get to. It is really, 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 really difficult to get to. Just because it sits tight on mine. It's just the way it is. But the scepter is there to help pull it up. The problem with that is, depending how tight it is, you can't get it that way. So I was literally punching and poking around, trying to figure out where's the minifig in this. So it's kind of like a seek and find. Anyway, then Jafar, I already knew where Jafar was because that door opens super easily and he's easy to get to. But Gaston, I could not remember where Gaston was. And I was like, okay, it's not in the top, but it feels like it should be there. And I'm looking around, I'm like, oh, that's right, the handle at the bottom. It was kind of neat. It was fun just to, have that, idea of having to go back and be like, okay, now where is this thing at? So obviously after you build it once and show people or whatever, you're going to know where stuff is. But let's say you have a house party or something like that. You have some friends over. And of course, this is perfect to sit on a bookshelf. My God, this is perfect. I wish I had like a true bookshelf here, maybe one day. And you could put it on and say, hey, there's 4 characters in there. Find them. I guarantee you nobody's going to go to the Apple and pull up a section without thinking, oh my God, I broke it. So yeah. But the other ones, yeah, that is kind of neat. Anyway, so that is the whole thing. I love it for the nostalgic purposes. Price, I think, is priced well. At $130, it seems to be okay. The minifigs are pretty good. I love the Jafar one. I love that one. So that works for me. I love the Peter Pan pocket watch. I thought that was really cool. The VHS tape was really stunning in the way that was done. That was the biggest focal point of mine when I first had images of this thing. I was like, oh my God, that's incredible. And everything else just kind of plays along with everything else. So that's going to wrap it up. Remember, if you are planning to go to Chicago, to Brick World Chicago, which is it's less than a week at this point in time. It is June 17th and 18th at the Schaumburg Convention Center. You guys can get your tickets online ahead of time. And I believe actually up until the day of the event, maybe even that morning, you can get your tickets, save yourself some money. If I'm not mistaken, it's $4 off that you can save using the code BRICKSKING, BRICKSKING, all capitalized from what I understand, what I've heard back. And follow the link down below in the description, or you can jump on their website and then at checkout, when it asks for a discount code, put it in. I know it works. I've heard back from a number of you, so I'm glad that you'll be able to be there and have a great day. It is only single day admission for those tickets, but if you want to go 2 days, you just have to buy 2 different tickets. So if I see you there, awesome. If we don't come across paths, I'm sorry, but there will be other times in the future. So until we meet again, I'm your minifig host, Matt. Let's build on it.